Okay, so moving right along here, I'm sharing screen again, and we're going to welcome our good friend Robyn Nunis, who's the National Sales Director for VitalSource, who's also been super duper busy, to share with us today kind of what's happening in the book world and the mutation of school districts doing things differently. Like I want one book, but I only want it for, 20 days. And then I want this for that number of days. And I want to have everything ready right at the start of the school year. Yeah, so Robyn, I know you have a lot to say. I'm going to stop sharing screen in case you want to screen share. Hi, there you are. I love your new glasses.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm real excited to be here. It's always great to be a part of the Learning Council and have an opportunity to meet everyone and talk with everyone. It was really great to hear from ClassLink. We work with ClassLink, and it has been a really challenging and an exciting time. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay.
I'll let you know when I see it.
Okay.
Are you sharing a second screen or sharing an app?
I'm sharing, it should just come up. I don't know why it's not.
I'm going to make sure that you're allowed to share. Doug, I think we have to move her into panelist status. No, you can.
It's not letting me.
Share. It says you have the right to share, so you should be able to share.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. There you go. Yay! Technology.
Here we go. All right. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm Robyn Nunis, and I'm with VitalSource, and we provide digital curriculum, courseware, and ebooks through integrations such as ClassLink. We do a lot of work with districts that use ClassLink and LMS and or Clever. So one of our products that we're, the ways we do this is a product called Launch. And it's one integration. So you can get into your text and your courseware. You have access to engagement and analytics. You have one connection. And I can't emphasize that enough, to all your digital materials. It's direct to the student. We have personal data privacy and automatic content licensing. And as ClassLink was talking about, I can't find my stuff. What is my password? I mean, we have seen a lot of that this year as well. So again, the one-click access to course materials with a single access, no access codes. We provide access to the courseware. You can see some of the options here that we have. We work with over 1,750 publishers and have access to their courseware. And this has really been helpful in our dual credit program that we support, where we have classes that, as we have found in working with districts where you don't know if they're going to teach this until the last minute, or they're not going to teach it and they're shuffling students around. And it was really a hassle getting them all the materials they needed in one place. So this one single integration has been a great solution for them, because all they need to do is pop the student in the application and they're ready to roll with whatever they're assigned. I also want to talk about, we had a redesign this year of our e-reader and our platform that we use for courseware. So I wanted to do just a quick demo to show you, and I've got that pulled up here, what that looks like. All right.
Bookshelf delivers a comprehensive study experience for a new world of learning. Built-in study tools help students improve retention and mastery of content, and students save up to 80% with digital materials versus traditional print prices. Let's take a 3-minute tour to show you how to use and customize Bookshelf. The library contains all the titles that you have an active license for. Use the search bar to search for a particular title or search a term across your library. To search within a particular title, click on the search icon next to the book card. To access your content, click on the title card. There are several ways to navigate your ebook. Use the table of contents to go directly to the units, chapters, and sections you need. See your progress with the scrubber bar and use it to go back and forth in the text. You can also use the bookmark feature to return later to the selected text. Use the page entry field to jump right to a specific page. Bookshelf has a variety of study tools allowing you to read, learn, and quiz yourself all in one place. Highlighting important content is as simple as dragging your cursor over the passage and then choosing a highlighter. Click to add a note to the highlighted content. You can also create and share custom highlighters too, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Click Create Flashcard to add the passage to a flashcard that you can study from later. Access your notes from the margin notes. Study your notes next to the content they reference. To edit a note, simply click on it. Click the workbook icon to access all your notes, create a new highlighter, set up sharing for public highlighters, manage your bookmarks, create additional flashcards, and study from the flashcards you've already created. Click the plus icon to create a new highlighter. Click Add New Highlighter, choose a color, give it a name, and decide if you want to make these highlights public. You can share your public highlights with people you choose, and you can turn off sharing at any time. Click Save to finish. Click Sharing to manage whose highlights you're following and who has access to yours. In the Flashcards pane, you can manage your existing flashcards, create new decks, and use the Study feature to test your knowledge. Use the powerful search feature within the text to find keywords, figures, notes, highlights, and bookmarks. Click here to view and change your reader preferences. You'll find additional fonts, day and night mode, and more. You also have quick access to your highlighters and sharing options. In the three-dot icon, you'll find Read Aloud, Print, and Beta feature options. Take your bookshelf content on the go with our mobile and desktop apps. With these apps, you can download your course materials right to your phone or laptop, so you won't need internet access to study. All of the notes, flashcards, and highlights you've created in Bookshelf Online will be available to you in the apps. Bookshelf delivers a comprehensive study experience for a new.
And that's a preview of, or a review of our new redesigned reader. Are there any questions?
I'm going to watch for questions for you, but I have some questions, and that is, when you're working with schools, do you find that when they're plotting this in to lesson plans so that it's maybe, do this and then read this and then put the link in learning management systems over to VitalSource, or how is lesson planning happening with all these resources?
So we provide links for the ebooks and your course curriculum. And then the either IT or the teachers, Leilani, put it in their course material.
Okay.
Teachers can assign assignments out of those and actually send out a link to where the students need to go.
Okay. So really, basically it's a giant repository of a lot of stuff, books, other pieces of curriculum, sometimes discrete pieces, and then other times like a full lesson sequence, right?
Right.
Okay. So then let's pretend I'm a teacher and I want to develop a lesson sequence, a plan. I can build that somewhere else in my style, because that's the way I roll as a teacher. And then go, okay, now there's a resource and here's my instructions with the resource and the link. Okay.
Correct.
If I'm behind a single sign-on already, then VitalSource is under that umbrella with the learning management system.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't have to go out of the learning management system and then go to another resource on my dashboard.
No.
Okay.
No.
That's going to be critical for the navigation of student attention, because one of the things we heard all through the pandemic is that both teacher and student navigation was the hardest part. This is one of the big contributing factors to the loss of achievement, is just like where, what folder, what's happening, you know. I had a person on a webinar the other day who had, I think the first grader trying to navigate Google Class. Lot of daddy time spent with helping that child over the course of the year. Yeah, so I have a lot of attention on how what you just showed navigationally is pretty clean. Whereas the plotting of it now has to have teacher attention on the, you know, the sequencing. And so it's simple, right? It's not like a big ordeal. Can you also talk about the stratification of pricing? Because I know you've told me a story before about how a school might want to have on back order X number of books if needed. The pricing is structured based on time rather than buy once, you just have it all year, even though you didn't use them all, kind of a thing. Can you talk about pricing structure and all that?
Yes. So we have a few different models. So for instance, we have schools that maybe need textbooks for 90 days or 30 days, or 180. Okay. So we can facilitate that. Okay. So that they aren't, having to pay for a whole year and or multiple years. We also, through our product Explore, students can, we have a situation where they can check out books. So we can have X amount of ebooks out at one time, determined by the customer, determined on pricing and the subscription they go to, where they can check things in and out for X amount of time digitally.
Okay.
And that is a newer model that we have now, with several publishers. And the other piece to it, Leilani, is when you say, you know, the struggle of where do we go, what do we do, is with districts that are using publishers and using their courseware, you would get, okay, you know, here's all the access codes, and go to our website and plug those access codes in. And, you know, everyone would lose them. It's very confusing. On our site, they can just click on the link. It takes them out to the publisher. They, on their clipboard, will be their code, and they just paste it in there and go.
So one of the benefits then of a publishing centralizer, which is what VitalSource really is doing, is the utility of pricing and the utility of access.
That's right.
Okay. That's huge. No one wants more administrative headaches right now at all. So what you're saving
No.
people is really, I think, significant. I think the cost savings alone, I just want to do a little comparison so everybody listening in understands what we're talking about here. When you move to the digital universe with things that used to be paper books only, when you were buying paper books, you bought them in a 5 or 7 year cycle, and they were yours. They came on big trucks, and you warehoused them and put them out, and you tried to reuse them. Now you'd have to try to sanitize them. It would be crazy, right? And they would wear out over time. Whereas in this instance, it's you're buying the books, but you're not buying the book at the same price. It's digital, and you can limit, like, we only need this book for 30 days, or we need it for 90. We don't need it for 180. We don't have to warehouse it. Warehouse costs in just one district could be millions a year for hardcover books. So right there, you've paid for digital access. Am I doing the math right? I've seen stories about this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have studies that show we can save districts up to 80% as opposed to textbooks. And the other thing you run into is you don't get all the books back. And you may buy a bunch of books hoping it'll last the next 5 to 7 years. And then you have this loss. They don't get turned back in. Then you go back to the publisher and say, okay, we need more copies, and they aren't printing them anymore.
Yeah, not fun for anyone. Okay, so also talk to me a little bit about, ready day one, which has always been a problem in the paper world. And then even with, how I'm going to have all my curriculum ready. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So, one of the most important things, and ClassLink talked about it, and we absolutely agree, what we have found is the most important thing, both in K through 12 and in college, quite frankly, is having resources available day one. People are ready to go. Teachers are ready to go, so they can start using it. We have that capability. We can work with districts. We can get this set up so that first day of school, bam, you have access. We did that with Miami this year. We have meeting and we make sure everything's on there. What can happen, and I have plenty of districts that this happens to, is, oh, hi, we've been open for 2-3 weeks. We bought this and we're just now setting it up because the IT department, the way that district works, they aren't prioritizing getting that content in there, which is like buying a car and parking it and not driving it. It loses value once it goes off the lot. So you aren't even using it, and really getting the value out of what you bought for content. And then teachers and students get frustrated, and then they just go out there and wing it, right? Yeah. When you get, oh, we're just going to use this stuff, perhaps we found on the internet instead, or stuff I've been using for years because I can't get this going. Yeah.
So there's also the training aspect. So when you take a teacher's books away, which was happening before the pandemic, right? Absolutely. People were like, oh, all the world's knowledge is open on the free available internet. Just go make lesson plans from stuff you find from anywhere. That was already going on. And then in the pandemic, before the big CARES Act and all the money flow, a lot of superintendents were forced into the position of, hey, teachers, just use Google Class and go make stuff, right? So it was a mad scramble. Teachers were known to scan in or take pictures with their phone and use the picture of the textbook page as a descriptive object. Don't tell the publishers, Robyn. The intellectual property law.
I won't. But I know that goes on.
It goes on, and it's a legal liability of monumental proportion. But that was going on. It probably still goes on in some places we don't know about.
Oh, absolutely.
But they were desperate. So And then the access issues, right? Like the PDF doesn't open because the student doesn't have a PDF reader on their desktop, or something else happened, right? So there was a lot of issues with that. So basically, when I look at what companies are doing in the commercial grade space, like VitalSource now, you're making availability, cost structure reduction, but more importantly, it's a navigation and a workability. Like this actually is going to open when you open it, and then you're not going to have legal liabilities from using this intellectual property. I think all of those things sort of add up to like, why aren't we doing that again? So excellent work. Anything else? What else is new?
Well, I do want to say one thing. We are going to have a product release probably next year, or a feature release with Bookshelf. So I want everyone to stay tuned. I'm not allowed to talk about it. But it's super exciting. There's a little teaser there that I think is really going to pull all this together and complete the circle. I will say, in working with districts, small, medium, large, private, charter, whatever, across the nation, I have seen a lot of common themes, which is, as you said, scrambling to get resources, then people are just spending money willingly on whatever. And I would encourage, and I'm very encouraged by, what I'm sure these districts as well as others are starting to do, which is, what's our plan long-term here? What is our plan? And how are we going to get there? So, with our homegrown portal or LMS, or is that really going to get us to where we are? Is Google Docs really going to get us to where we are? How are we looking long term, and where do we want to invest to provide the best personalized learning for our future leaders?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has been a blur. And I think that has been very difficult for many reasons to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's many products on the market in K-12, as they know. And I would say, just really take the time to vet them, to evaluate, and to see, does this meet our goal long-term? Not just, oh, right now it's okay. Oh, right now we can Band-Aid this and we can do this and whatever. Well, one day it blows up and you lose so much time and energy and thought leadership when you do that.
I know. Very good point. Well, thank you so much for being with us and sharing your message today. I'm super proud you guys have stepped up as a company, and you're doing what you're doing in a mad scramble. I know you've been working really hard. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Leilani. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.